Praise be Jesus Christ and Mary Immaculate. Welcome to this homily for this Palm Sunday, also known as Passion Sunday. We're going to read the Passion of our Lord Jesus Christ according to Matthew. What strikes me the most about the reading of the Passion is how quickly it begins. There is no introduction, there is no leading into. It starts immediately with a betrayal, with Judas Iscariot betraying Jesus. And in that moment, we are given the key to understand all of the Lord's Passion, everything that follows. Because this is not just a story about suffering, it's a story about relationship. Betrayal is not only an action, it's a false relationship. It looks real on the outside. Judas calls Jesus rabbi, but doesn't mean it. Jesus kisses Jesus, but doesn't mean it. Judas walks with Jesus, but he doesn't mean it. But inside, something is broken. There's a calculation. There is a distance. There is a plan. There is self-interest. And if we're honest, this is not a story only about Judas. This is our story as well. Because after original sin, all relationships become fragile. We truly struggle. We struggle to truly say, I am with you always. Only God can say, I am with you always, and then be faithful to his words. And so everything that Jesus does, from betrayal to the cross, is about restoring this relationship, about restoring trust, about restoring communion. There is something else that does not seem to fit in this story. The same Jesus who was sold for 30 pieces of silver is also welcomed as king. But those 30 pieces of silver are not just a small detail. In the book of Exodus chapter 21, 30 pieces of silver is the price of a slave. That is what a human life was worth at that time. And the prophet Zechariah tells us that God himself is valued at that same amount, almost with an irony, as if to say that this is how little I am valued by my people. Jesus was worth the price of a slave. So when Jesus is sold for 30 pieces of silver, it reveals something very painful. He is being treated as something useful, as something to exchange, as if he's currency. And this touches us too, because sometimes we also reduce our relationship with God to something functional, a transaction. We come to him when we need something. We calculate, we negotiate. Without realizing, we risk putting a price on God. And yet at the same time, Jesus enters Jerusalem as king, but not the kind of king that people expected. He does not come on a horse, a symbol of power and of war. He comes on a donkey, a sign of humility and peace. His kingship is different. He does not conquer by force. He does not impose himself. He comes in meekness, and this is why he will be rejected, precisely because he's meek and humble. Because we often want a king who solves things with power. But Jesus comes as a king who gives himself, who serves, who loves to the very end. His throne will be the cross. Then we see him enter the temple and turn everything upside down. He drives out those who turn religion into a business, and he welcomes the blind and the lame and the ones who were excluded. This is what it means that Jesus is a true priest. The priest is not the one who controls access to God. A true priest is the one who brings people back to God, especially those who feel far away. And Jesus does this with compassion, with healing, with closeness. He offers not something external, he offers himself. The people also call him a prophet, because a prophet reveals the truth, even when it is difficult. And Jesus does exactly that. He exposes what is false. He challenges what is comfortable. And like all prophets, he is rejected, because the truth is something far, far from us. There is also a very beautiful detail that we can easily miss. Jesus is described as riding on a donkey and a colt, both. The tradition sees in this image an image of unity. The donkey represents the people of Israel, the chosen people. The colt represents the Gentiles, all nations. And Jesus comes to unite both. He is a king not for one group, but for all people. Those who go before him represent the old covenant, and those who follow him represents the new people. In him all are brought together. And yet, despite all of this, he is rejected, not because he is unclear, but because he does not fit expectations. People wanted power. He brought humility. They wanted control. He brought surrender. They wanted a system, and he brought a relationship. And so the question comes to us: do we recognize who he is? Do we recognize him as our king, not when he meets our expectations, but when he invites us to humility? Do we recognize him as our priest, not when religion is comfortable, but when it calls us to conversion? Do we recognize him as our prophet, not when his words affirm us, but when they challenge us? The Passion is not just something we remember, it's something that we live. Every time we choose calculation over love, every time we pretend instead of being real, and every time we place ourselves at the center, we enter into that same story. But the good news is this, that Jesus does not stop loving. Even when he is betrayed, he remains faithful. Even when he's rejected, he continues to offer himself. And so today, my friends, we ask one simple grace, the grace to recognize Jesus, and to recognize him and to follow him. Not the king we would choose, but the king who comes to us in humility, truth, and love. God bless you.